unlock your iPhone's potential. Let's make your iPhone into a cinema level camera with this technique. Let me show you how. Let me show you how you can use your iPhone footage shot in Apple Log just like any other cinema level camera in DaVinci Resolve. And if you're smart, you can figure out how to do the same thing in other softwares as well. And I'll give you a calibration LUT that will fix the poor color rendition of your iPhone sensor, matching your iPhone footage to an Arri Alexa. And this allows very accurate color correction, so you can color correct your iPhone footage like it would be raw video. With this workflow and calibration, your iPhone footage grades like a cinema camera. I'll show you how you can apply professional color grades to your video with just few clicks. This workflow works best with iPhone models that can shoot Apple Log. But I'm working on another video on how to make any modern iPhone shoot Log as well. So you might want to go and check that video out first and then return to this. I got myself iPhone 16 Pro camera a few months ago after talking with a student of mine who was applying my color grading workflow to a footage shot with iPhone, and I was quite impressed. And here's Joachim talking about why he chooses to shoot with an iPhone instead of bigger cameras.
Hi Joe, it's me, Joachim. For me, the iPhone isn't just a phone. What's paradoxical is that before I had expensive professional gear, but yet I made worse video because I didn't have that spontaneity. Without the hassle of heavy gear or complicated setups, I can express myself without limits.
You can go and check Joachim's content here on this link and in the description as well. He's a new YouTuber making content in French, so go and say hello from me. Let me show you the workflow in theory before we go to the computer, so you have a better understanding what's actually happening. We'll be using a node-based ACES workflow called ACES Lite. So in order to do this workflow, we need at least 4 nodes. And let me show you those nodes first. So the first node we need is called an IDT node, Input Device Transform. And this will now take our footage from the capture profile into ACES. And in ACES, then the next node we'll add is CC node, that means for color correction. And with this node, we can do raw-like color correction to our footage. Then we add Look Modification Transform node, and this node will give our footage the look. This one node includes all the elements of a professional grade. Then we add the last node, which is an Output Device Transform, and this takes our footage out from ACES into a delivery color space, in this case the standard dynamic range, Rec. 709A. In this workflow, the first and the last node are responsible for creating our ACES sandwich, and the 2 nodes in between are used for modifying the colors inside the ACES color space. The first 2 nodes are used for individual clips because they are clip specific, and then the 2 last nodes are used to all of the clips simultaneously, and this makes our color grading really fast. So here we are on the computer, and I have a list of clips shot all with iPhone, except actually this one and this clip. These are not shot with iPhone, but let's talk about that a bit later. So here we have a clip shot in Apple Log, and the first thing we need to do is check our color management settings, and we'll do that here in the color management tab. And the color space we'll be using is DaVinci YRGB, and our timeline color space is ACES CCT, and our output color space is Rec. 709A. And then press save and you're good to go. And then we'll start. The first node we'll add is an IDT node, and we'll use the color space transform for this first. I'll select our input color space, which is Rec. 2020, and our input gamma is Apple Log. And then I'll choose our output color space to be ACES AB1 and our output gamma to be ACES CCT. And now our footage is in ACES. This is the official way to do this, but instead of using the color space transform node, I actually want to use our IDT LUT, because this LUT calibrates the colors, giving us much better looking colors. And I have a collection of input device transform LUTs for all kinds of different cameras, and the ones we're choosing now is for Apple cameras, and I have the Apple iPhone 16 Pro input device transform LUT here, and this is the calibration LUT that I was talking about. And then we'll just connect this one here, and now our footage is again in ACES. And well, you can't really see much of a difference yet. And then let's go to the next part. But actually before, I forgot one thing. Let's add all of our clips into a group. I'll add them to an existing group called iPhone Look. And now they all have this green link icon. And so they are in the same group. And when you add them into a group, you can see new options here. So this group pre-clip and post clips are now new ones. And whatever we do here in the group post clip, for example, make the footage black, the image goes black on all of the clips. Though we don't want to do that, so let's reset. And whatever we do here on individual clip happens to only individual clips. Only the one went black. So now let's go to the group post clip and let's add our ODT. And let's do it with the color space transform again. And I'll add our color space transform tool. And our input color space in this time is ACES AP1, and our input gamma is ACES CCT, and our output is Rec 709, and our output gamma is Rec 709A. But we can do slightly better. So let's do this again with a LUT as well. And I will give you this LUT as well for you for free in the link in the description or in the end of the video. So I have ODT LUTs as well. And I have this one, RE like neutral. And this one is done based on the official RE log C to Rec 709 LUT. And this gives you a slightly better colors. Okay, and now our footage is in Rec 709A and the colors look normal, aka color managed. And next, let's add our look modification transform node. In my gallery, I have a collection of look modification transforms, also known as look presets. And let's add Vision Tree 500D. This is a look modification transform that makes our footage look like it would have been shot with a Vision Tree 500T analog film. This has been profiled from a real 500D film, so this is really accurate and it gives a final look, so no need for tweaking it, but I'll talk about these a bit later. Now let's go back to our clip level. Here, by the way, these dots and this navigation is the same thing. And let's add our CC node for color correction. In this workflow, we can do raw-like color correction. And to do that, we're going to be using the color space aware tools and especially the HDR global wheel. This is very accurate. For example, we can add one stop of exposure, though in this case, that's a bit too much. So let's just add 1.0. Let's try that. That looks good. And then here with these sliders, I can change the white balance very accurately as well. And this now works with raw-like accuracy. And the ability for DaVinci Resolve to do raw-like color correction is because our IDT takes our footage from the capture profile into ACES CCT, and in our color space management, our timeline color space is set to ACES CCT as well. So when these match, the global wheels work like a charm. Okay, then I want to show you why we did not use the color space transform tool to do our conversion from Apple log to ACES CCT, but instead, why did we use the calibrated input device transform LUT? When I connect this color space transform node instead of the LUT to the signal path, you can see how dull the green color gets. And instead, with the calibration LUT, the colors are much more vibrant, much more lifelike. And here I actually have few clips that have been shot side by side with an iPhone and with a proper cinema camera. And here, if I change the input device transform from the calibrated LUT back to the official color space transform, you can see how unmatched the colors now seem. But if I use the calibrated LUT, the colors are much better matched. Here's another one. This is the calibrated LUT, and this is the official conversion. And you can see how much better the colors look, or how much more closer to the real cinema camera the colors look with the calibrated LUT. And especially in this one, you can see how big of a difference the calibration does. For example, there you can see these mountains, the greens and the neutrals and the blues. They have this kind of gray dust layer on top of them. And when I use the calibration LUT, it's just like the dust would have been wiped away from on top of the image, and looks much more clear. And because of the calibration, now our color correction node works much better as well. I have this calibrated input device transform LUTs for iPhone 15 Pro and 16 Pro. So if you are shooting Apple log with one of those phones, you will get these input device transform calibration LUTs for free. There's a link in the description and in the end of the video. But if you're not shooting with an iPhone and can shoot Apple log, I'm working on another video where I will show you how you can make pretty much any iPhone shoot log. So check that video out if you cannot shoot Apple log, and you can still do the same workflow after you have seen that video. So let's go back to the group post clip where we have the look modification transform node that creates this look for all of our clips at the same time. And this one node is a film emulation node, very accurate film emulation for the Vision 3 500T film stock. And you can see how it really makes the footage look more like it would have been shot with analog film. For example, here in the chilies, you can see how they look much more vibrant. Here, a lot of these flowers, this emulation gives them a nice look. And there are many other look modification transforms like this in the gallery. I have a bunch of them. For example, this one is Vision 3 250D. It's a sibling film stock to the 500T, and it gives this kind of a look. Then I have Double X film stock emulation, and this is the most popular black and white film stock that they use in Hollywood and big movies. And all of my film emulations are profiled from real analog film. And then I have some synthetic looks as well, so they are not profiled from any real film stock. For example, here's another black and white look that really emphasizes the textures in your image and shows all the details in the shadows and in the highlights, but still keeping a very contrasty look. Or then there's one called warm tone that gives a very summer vibe feeling to this footage. And in this case, it looks really nice. But let's go back to the Vision 3 500T. These look modification transform nodes give you a final look. And because iPhone is now calibrated to work like any cinema camera, you can use these even with iPhone footage as well. And this is so much more than a lookup table. And the reason is that these give you a final look, but you can edit all and everything in this look. All of the sub-elements are available for you to edit. So let's look inside this compound node. You can see a bunch of nodes. The whole look has been done with native tools in DaVinci Resolve, so everything is under your control. For example, this node is responsible for the color, so you can, for example, lower the gain to half if you want less of an effect. And then here we have a lens diffusion effect that helps with the sharp digital look. And this is modeled after real optical filters that you can put in front of your lens. I actually have another video about how I emulate optical filters very accurately here in the corner. You can see that video after this one. Then let me show you the halation effect. Let's find another clip that shows it's better. In this clip, you can see here, let's zoom in the highlights. When I turn on a very strong halation effect, you can see this red glow around the highlights. And this is something that happens to analog film highlights when the red layer bleeds to the surrounding areas. So this gives you a very recognizable analog film look. And this halation emulation is done physically accurate, so it's much better than the native halation effect in DaVinci Resolve. And here's actually another video about that, how I create my halation effect. So you can go and check that out later after this video again. And in this look modification transform, you can choose how much of the halation effect you want, if you just want a small one or if you want a bigger one. And then you can change the strength. And here in the halation tab, you can even choose where the threshold happens. And then with these nodes, you can make your grade warmer or cooler. And let's not forget about the grain. So in this node, if I zoom in, you can see better. You can see the grain. This node is responsible for giving this realistic film grain to the footage. Now it's using 35mm grain, but if I change this to 60mm grain, it looks much more like 60mm film. And actually, now that we're talking about 60mm film, let me show you something else as well. In my look modification transform library, I have one called analog artifacts. And when I add that to the signal path, nothing happens. But when I double click it and look inside, there is a bunch of analog artifact effects. And let's just try what happens if we turn them on. The first one is a film breath that gives a bit of filmic flicker to your footage. The next one is vignette that darkens the edges of your clip. Then let's try scan dust. And this adds small dust particles that look like dust would have gotten into your film scanner. Then we'll add chromatic aberration that adds a bit of color fringing to the edges of the camera lens, something that happens in old vintage lenses. Then let's add edge blur, and this will add realistic bokeh to the edge of the lens, just like old vintage lenses. Then let's add a frame, this adds a textured frame to your clip, making it look like it would have been scanned from a negative. And the film strip makes the whole thing look like a strip of film. The film perps adds these film holes to the side of your clip, just like 60mm film. And if you prefer 8mm, you can go inside and change that, but let's keep it to the 60mm. And then the last one is our gate weave that makes the whole thing shake like a 60mm film. And we can change our film stock by removing this node from the signal path and, for example, choosing a double X film stock instead. And now we have really convincing 60mm film emulation. And that's how easy it is to emulate 60mm film stock with your iPhone. These looks that you saw in this video and many others and the analog artifact effect pack are all part of my ACES Lite look library product. It's a growing collection of pre-built looks for DaVinci Resolve, and there is as well clear tutorials on how to use these with any camera, including iPhones. And you can use these even with non-professional iPhone models when you watch this other video of mine. And here is a link where you can get the calibration LUT for free, so you can get better colors for your iPhone. And behind the same link, you can find more information about my look library product as well. And if you are on time, like not too far on the future, there is now a limited time offer going for the product, so the price should not scare you. So subscribe and see you in the next video.